you, everyone. This session, which we have in our annual expo, is really looked upon even by our readers because it brings some very interesting insights and very honest recommendations. So people really want to know before investing in a residence, where should they invest and how should they look at property. So we cannot find better minds than the people we have here on stage. So I would begin right away. So Ram has tremendous experience in the city, outside the city with Credit National. Tell me, Ram, when you look at Hyderabad from outside in now, what is it that you think we are missing, we are not appreciating about our city? And the other thing is that we have moved from being the most affordable to the second most expensive real estate sector. So how do you view the increase in prices?
Yeah, thank you, Deepal. So first, let me thank Times of India for making me part of this panel. So when you talk about Hyderabad, when you compare with other parts of the country, we are definitely doing very, very good. We can say vibrant Hyderabad. So thanks to many initiatives from the government of Telangana. I mean, as CS was mentioning about many things like there is no water problem, no power problem. When you talk about the roads also, much, much better than many other cities. I mean, COVID was well utilized by the GHMC in making the many good roads. And when police, I mean, excellent. I think CC cameras making a wonderful job. I mean, anything bad thing is happening, immediately they are catching. Like that, many advantages are there. But yes, when you talk about the most affordable too, it has become the second costliest city in the country. This is not a good sign, I can say, definitely. But biggest advantage was there for us earlier because of affordability. Now slowly that is getting lost. But the reasons for it is, again, when the growth is there, the land prices have gone up like crazily. So expectations of the landlords have become very, very abnormal. It's not a routine thing. Every expectation has gone up. And the construction cost also has gone up like anything. That also is making a big difference. So availability of manpower. I mean, where the growth is very big, again, scarcity also will be there. Like if you go to other cities where the activity is not happening much, there you will get the manpower and materials at a little lower cost than our city. But in Hyderabad, everything has gone up. So that also making a big difference for, I mean, the profitability, I don't say builders are making big profits, but because of the land prices gone up, because of the, I mean, every workforce availability has also become little difficult. Even including technical manpower also, getting a right people also is becoming a challenge. So everywhere the cost has been increased, that is added to the selling price also. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was really insightful. So, Nankishore, would you like to share what was it like from the builder's perspective, all the aspects which he has spoken about, what it is like being one of the top builders in the city?
I would actually want to say that, I'm glad we are the second most expensive city. Now, what does that indicate? That indicates that this city is really growing. Now you see, globally, if you see, there are so many cities which are multiple times expensive than what we are.
Yeah.
And if you look at their per capita income versus the cost of real estate, if you look at that ratio, we are nowhere near that. So which means there is a huge potential for the prices to still grow. So I'm actually quite happy, which shows that there is a lot of belief and faith in this city. And let me tell you, probably it could be a very bold statement as I speak now. 15, 20 years down the line, you will see Hyderabad emerging as an alpha city. It's going to be a global city. It's just a matter of time. 15 to 20 years time. As of today, I think you have, I think New York and London are the alpha plus, and you have Beijing, Shanghai,
Yeah.
Tokyo, these are all the Alpha Plus cities. I am telling you, you just wait and watch. 15, 20 years, Hyderabad will be an Alpha city.
Yeah.
So I think it's for the government, the industry, everybody to come together and see how do we reach there, what steps do we take there. So I think Hyderabad is a big story. So it's not just, you have so many good things here. So as we move, as the city grows, see, Mumbai has been expensive.
Yeah.
Mumbai has been expensive
For
and
a
it has
long
been
time.
growing.
Yes.
So what Hyderabad, so while we can't complain about the city becoming expensive from a real estate perspective, we should see how do we make the per capita income in this city higher and higher. So that will happen only when there is a greater level of economic development. If you look at Hyderabad as a city, there are so many sectors, everything is very strong here. Now one sector, if you ask me, which is missing today in Hyderabad from a macro perspective is the financial sector. I think that is one area where, financial district, if you may call, it has become more of a back office, but not the real financial trade happens or decision making happens. So that is one area where we should, how can we become the next best alternative to Mumbai in the financial space? That is one area I think we should look at. And also, I think another thing which we are missing in Telangana and particularly, obviously, Hyderabad also is a seaport connectivity. So maybe we should look at how do we kind of, I think Kakinada port could be the nearest one that we may have. So can we do a high-speed corridor so that, our access to the port becomes much more
and it helps
easy.
the industry.
So
Yes.
I think, so these are certain, these two areas, if we are able to focus and bring in, then Hyderabad is going to become a global city for sure. And once that happens, real estate is a small section or a small fragment of the entire economy. So
Larger
then all
picture.
these things don't matter, and people who are investing today, they will see, multiple X growth in their investments in the real estate value that we are going to deliver.
Yeah.
And so much more properties are going to come into development.
Right.
So my belief is, if prices are going up, Hyderabad is becoming expensive, I think it's a positive sign to look at, and we have to just see how do we make the city a global city.
It's a clear indication of the value.
Absolutely, and I would like to stand on my statement. We are going to become an alpha city 15, 20 years down the line.
Yes, that is well appreciated, and I do think most people would agree. Nandkishore, Biswajit, you are an expert on retail. You're an expert on the other side of real estate, which is, if you see how much Hyderabad has grown on the retail front, it is incredible. So would you like to share with us how you see it panning out here from here on, given that our shopping habits have changed, but the city seems to have mall presence or, large format retail presence now in every corner, which was not the case earlier, where we had to come to the high streets and only some roads had exceptional shopping experience. So looking into the history and looking forward, could you share what you think is going to happen now?
What I see is now in Hyderabad, there are different pockets emerging as residential catchment. Hyderabad, the beauty of Hyderabad is it can expand any side. Unlike you take Bombay or it's a linear growth. And Hyderabad fortunately is growing from all sides. And because of infrastructure, a lot of communities are coming at different parts of Hyderabad, all sides I will say. The moment the catchments are emerging, automatically the neighborhood retail will come up. Because most of the brands today is the national brands, whether it is in a mall or any other, because the brand awareness is good, customers don't mind buying it from the neighborhood high streets also. Similarly, even retailers also realized to present in peripheral areas where the market is emerging or the catchment is emerging. Because the market is emerging, they are getting properties at a right price, and because there is a catchment, they are getting proper business. So retailers prefer to be in a peripheral. The expansion strategy is peripheral and tier 2, tier 3 cities also. because this post-COVID or because of this work from home, people are at their village and their towns. And so what is happening is they wanted to go closer to this catchment and they're opening stores. And I think last 2 quarters we have done many transactions in peripheral and Tier 2 cities, Tier 3 cities.
So if the living quality is even across a wide space, then that would help people to move out, which is what we are seeing. There is a increasing interest in suburban life, and people are moving away from, the CBD. So Samson, if we look back at the commercial real estate, it was hit badly during the pandemic. People were not going to office. Then we got used to working from home, a lot of us. Then we saw a huge oversupply. And again, then now everyone is going back to their offices, but also we see a lot of corporates from around the world coming and investing here. So would you like to share with us the entire commercial real estate story and also how retail investors are getting interested? It's not just the big names, big global names now. Because of the REITs, you have a lot of retail investment.
Deepal, thank you for having me, and thanks to Times Group doing this once again. So many congratulations. So Hyderabad continues to make news. I think pandemic at the start of the pandemic, almost no one could predict which way the markets would go. I'm talking about March, April, May of 2020. But thereafter, I think the bounce that this region saw, and the uniqueness of it was that they not only came back on the office front, but housing. And one of the only markets amongst 8 cities in India where office and housing together did very well. And even now we see that across India, most markets are doing well on housing front too. So your questions was more on the commercial segment, and I must say that what we anticipated didn't happen during COVID, which is IT companies trying to withdraw didn't happen. Vacancy in terms of leases didn't happen. Supply or oversupply, as is usually being told, was always controlled. It was delivered when required. Many projects which were under construction took a pause as well, which is not a bad thing because there were many other pressures, cost, production, labor, so on. All in all, we saw larger commitments did happen over the 2 years of COVID phase 1, phase 2, the 2 waves. We saw some very large commitments from BFSI sector. Goldman Sachs coming in, wanting to do about 1,200 seats, and then once they came in, they actually exceeded more than 2,500 seats. At a time when it was COVID scenario or just overcoming that is a great statement, which means they have found talent here, they found the infrastructure, they found the ease of doing business, and they wanted a presence as large as they have in other cities. So Hyderabad, and has happened after, in my observation, more than 10, 12 years, someone to get you a brand like that to this sector. So BFSI has actually grown during this time. We have seen Ernst & Young, we have seen Deloitte, we have seen all the others who have grown. Second, IT companies consolidated their spaces. It was a great opportunity, and our observation is people took the opportunity to migrate upwards. And the proof is in the rentals, which didn't drop but actually increased. We stand at about 80 rupees for the best product in the market, where there is vacancy is lowest. We are talking about less than 5% vacancy. So with such high occupancy, it's a testimony that grade A product in grade A location gets attracts the best occupancy, which means the tenants are there and they're willing to pay.
Yeah.
The large supply is a scenario of when and where. So today, Raidurg will command the highest sort of price because it's got grade A product, grade A location. As you move away, if you have a grade A product, you are able to acquire a tenant you understand that real estate has become a service offering now. You're able to then do the deals. But yes, IT companies also look at connectivity. They look at does the metro reach my location, so on and so forth. So office space occupancy continues to be, I would say, resilient. It is not falling. The price is an indicator. Supply is controlled. The supply that is being talked about is an opportunity that should there be a huge demand that comes through, Hyderabad perhaps would be the first city which can accommodate the enormous growth that is being talked about. So
Yeah.
if there is further growth in technology, AI, any engineering-led
Yes, yes.
requirement for manpower, Hyderabad might put up its hand first saying that we have space across corridors in Hyderabad. Not just the built-up area, but also land. So having said that, the economics today may look a bit, shaky. That is there a price which will hold up if there is excessive supply? Well, it's a
Yeah.
good problem to have, which means we are ready to host if the economic conditions world over and in India are resilient. The fundamentals of this city are well placed to attract more.
To attract more, absolutely. Yes, thank you for that. The next two speakers are young, brilliant builders who believe in new ideas, new concepts. Mukul and Jitesh, I think it would be great if you share with us how the consumers' interests are changing, what they really want to see in a home today, what kind of insights you could share with us on the new possibilities in residential, and how will you keep going, because you both are famous for doing very interesting projects. So Mukul first.
Thank you, Rupali, for the question. Wanted to just, highlight that today's the consumer demand that today of the young working couples who've shifted or who are migrating from other cities to Hyderabad, they are looking at, primarily anything under a budget, a particular budget, maybe under 1 crore. So they are having to look at the budget instead of the size of the apartment. For them, they are not really sure, whether they would like to be here for 3 years, 5 years, or, for a lifetime. But they definitely would like to have a piece of Hyderabad real estate, is what, I've come to know interacting with, so many IT professionals that have moved in to our communities over the last 6 to 8 months, who've shifted from other cities post-COVID. So I think it's a very interesting change that everyone wants to have a small asset, but a definite asset in Hyderabad real estate. And another thing that we've seen, a lot of rental housing has picked up quite a lot post-COVID, which was down in the dumps during COVID. It had really fallen. But post-COVID, there's no availability of space, let it be residential apartments or serviced apartments or even like shared accommodations.
Yes. And the rents are increasing.
Absolutely.
Across, yeah.
So there's nothing. So, smaller units, budget is something that, as Mr. Nandkishore from Ramki was mentioning that, obviously the whole, the data points, Hyderabad being one of the most affordable where people could find apartments starting at 4,000 onwards to say 5,000 in 2018-20, that's moved up to say about 6,000 to 7,000 kind of an average. That is definitely a disturbing fact, but at the same time, with the inflation going up, with the cost of construction,
Yes.
there's no other, there's no possibility where the builder can still stick to that 4,000 to 5,000. So everyone has accepted that fact and they are okay to buy at that price also.
Yeah, absolutely. Jitesh, would you like to?
Firstly, Deepal, thank you for having me here. So my viewpoint is that, the current buyer is looking from two perspectives. One is the product perspective, other is the service perspective. So from a product perspective, as we know, yes, from an affordable market, we are now moving to a value-based market, right? So the buyer is willing to put in the extra money as long as we are able to convince, give a world-class product. So one thing what we have been seeing is, even in the apartment designs and everything, something what, the facilities which were being offered in the ultra luxury segment today are being offered in the premium segment. So so you're able to offer luxury, you're able to take it more towards the bottom of the pyramid. That's one thing. And another key trend what we are seeing is services. Right now, from a buyer perspective, post the pandemic, what we are seeing is people are moving towards a more hybrid work culture, right? So they're traveling to office like weekly 3 or 4 days and maybe working from home 1 or 2 days. So what sort of facilities can we provide so that within the community, so that particular part of his life is addressed? Another thing, when we have conducted focus group studies, we have realized that buyers again have major pain points in their life. It's like, again, everything got to do with their child. Right? So we are seeing, okay, can we integrate with creches and this sort of infrastructure? See, in the past, what used to happen is the developers used to provide for space, Like we build a township and may, okay, this is 1,000 or 10,000 square feet is for a crash or something. But today that is not sufficient. We should not just provide for space. In fact, we need to even get a, service provider who is a quality service provider and provide a one-stop solution to the buyer. The builder can no longer say, boss, I gave you the space, the service provider is somebody else, you deal with him. I think that is going away. And second thing regarding the fact that how Hyderabad has transitioned from an affordable market to a luxury market, I think it's a very good trend because see, what did we do to do the transformation? So, in the last 5 years, we have done extensive investments on the needs of the society, which is the infrastructure, right? And next, law and order. That's been fabulous. And then we have been able to generate a lot of jobs, right? Now, so that transformed us from affordable segment to India's second most,
expensive real estate
expensive
market.
area. Now I think we need to focus, one from the government, and second from the developer standpoint. From the government standpoint, I think we need to focus now on the social infra, especially on the F&B sector and several regeneration spaces and things like that. And from the developer sector, I think that would pose us with a very good challenges on how to convince customers to pay for that extra thing. Just like how I have mentioned, integrating with services. So not just providing space, but making sure the space even functions as needed.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good sign for Hyderabad.
Yeah. And we do see more and more interesting concepts come up every day. I've never seen builders spend so much time on design and the ecosystem and sustainability and all these aspects, and buyers are also very, very conscious. They don't mind traveling another 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, but they want to experience, as you said, a high quality life.
Today the Hyderabad buyer is, I feel, no longer the, that am I getting this at 100 rupees better SFT? No, he's no longer looking at that. You can charge, you can get a good price as long as you can create the experience.
Yes.
So that will, it means we need to innovate a lot more.
Yeah. So now some insights, and it's open to all of you. This UDS keeps coming back as an issue when it comes to the Hyderabad market, and but it's very tempting to buy something very cheap. And we have some established builders here, and you also understand the mindset of consumers. So, really, what is the perspective, Ram? You could start off because this is a nagging issue, and nobody seems to be able to solve it.
Yeah, there's I can say, big issue, which is what you are talking. I mean, initially also you asked me a question, what is the difference? I mean, you're talking about, no, other cities, this is not there.
This is not there. Yeah.
So in Hyderabad, that has become a bad practice, I can say. But as you said, people are tempted to go for UDS so that they are getting at a cheap price and they are buying. But where from they are buying also is very important. There are many developers came into picture now who never built any reasonably good project, but they are coming with the tallest buildings like 30 floors, 40 floors, they are planning, they are planned. But are we sure they are going to complete the project? Because they sold at a very, very cheap, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, also somebody sold, but even the project is not started yet. And they're increasing the prices of, raw material and everything has gone up. Whether they are going to sustain, they are able to take that pain, and whether they are going to deliver, that's a big challenge. So we are seeing definitely in a couple of, maybe in 2 to 3 years time, some screening will happen, and I wish it should not be repetitive of NCR. So where you see, projects were not delivered for, many years, many long years, 9 years, 10 years and all. And you see all the, some of the good developers also who were greedy and selling the properties by giving commission 10%, 12%, 13%, 15% to the mediators, realtors and all. So now you see the fate of those developers. Many of good developers were in jail. So I hope such situation will not come into Hyderabad. So when my advice to the even today also buyers, I think they should look at the profile of the developer. So how many projects they deliver, whether it's going to be feasible or not. If some of the developers, at least by choosing the developer, they should be very, very this thing.
Yes.
And RERA also should be very effective still.
RERA has
so
to
that
have
should be
its
more
teams.
impactful. Of course, they are doing it, but clearing and all they are doing good. But punishing the, I mean, who are the bad developers? I think that should have more, so that at least some fear will be there and make this thing. And even customer also should, I mean, buy the property, the developer, choosing the developer, and also whether project is registered under RERA also, they should look at that. And these things has to happen, I mean, both sides. If the developer is greedy and customer also, I should blame the customer also. He should not be so greedy to buy the property which is such as somebody is giving it a cheap cost. They should not just go for that.
Nandkishore, you have to tell us the other side of the story. How is the builder, managing the, how is it that builders decide that they're not going to be greedy, go the whole route, follow the discipline, do it the right way, and, take the pain but deliver the product properly. This other side seems very...
I remember exactly in the same event last year, I had said, when the ship starts sinking, it is the rats which will be the first one to jump out. So this is something which will necessarily happen. It has happened in every other industry, and it will happen in real estate also. I don't think we are an exception. But a point of time will come when, the economic cycles will, they're the life cycle kind of a thing. Economic cycles will come when the wheat and the chaff will get separated. So it is for the discerning buyer to understand that, we take so much of time, with due respect, we take so much of time to even buy one shirt or a sari or something. But when we are buying a property or lifetime investment, you have to be that much more cautious where you're putting your lifetime savings. So it is for the buyers to be very discerning. We as a developers, we believe end of the day, I actually appreciate what Ajitesh said. Real estate has moved from being a made-to-order kind of industry to a mass manufacturing, and now it is moving into a service industry. So where customer will eventually see what has been his experience with the developer. So I'm sure even if one customer gets impacted with any developer, a wrong guy, he's going to tell 100 people. So these rats will not survive. They will fall down the way. It is so we as developers, we believe that, end of the day, we are here not for a day or two. We are here for long term. So we have to look at it in that perspective. And I think these things will keep happening. And real estate, I believe, is a much larger thing to be looked at from a 3 or 4 year perspective.
Yes.
We should look at real estate from a 15-20 year perspective. And when you look at a 15-20 year perspective, in the graph, these will look at very small blips unless you zoom them out and see. So these things will happen, and I think we have to take them in our stride.
I just think that because a lot of customers have not such good experiences later on. Of course, they will talk about it, and of course, the real estate industry will be asked, boss, you're leaving everything midway, and...
No, I think that is where the government and the industry bodies, I think, I don't see anywhere else where the industry bodies have been as vocal as that in Hyderabad. Like, every industry body has gone ahead and made very vocal statements. They have issued paper advertisements. I think that's commendable because it needs guts to go and talk against people who are, part of you and still tarnishing your name. So I think it's a commendable job. But end of the day, what I'm trying to tell is that these things do keep happening, but we have to look at it from a macro picture. And same thing, when I'm also talking of Hyderabad, Hyderabad, this whatever price growth and everything is happening, this is something which is not speculative.
Yeah.
This is something where the economic...
The value is tied into the price.
there is if you correlate with the economy, you will see that this is a very well justified growth that we are seeing, and which is a good thing to happen.
Yes, absolutely. Well said, Anand. So I would like to ask Biswajit and Samson, in all your intense research, what are the interesting aspects that you have found about Hyderabad, which startle you and which you feel should be more talked about publicly? It could be in anything, residential, retail, commercial, in the way government policies work, or in the technology interventions. We have so many new technology interventions, because you must be comparing Hyderabad with other markets. So yes, Biswajit first. Yes.
See, Hyderabad has some natural advantage Like everybody knows, that is infrastructure. See, for anybody who's staying in a particular city, sees for two, three things like good infrastructure, that is for commuting, and then probably education or hospitals. Hyderabad has all these things. So that is the reason most of the people who are coming from any other states, they're preferring Hyderabad as a market, Hyderabad as a place. I have interacted with a lot of people who have come from north. What they tell is Hyderabad, one is because of the language, there is no proper language barrier kind of thing, because Hindi is something which is widely accepted. And the infrastructure which is built, that is gated community or commuting, is far better than when you compare with any other cities. So that's the reason, even though they're coming for a very shorter time to work here, and they end up staying here for a longer time.
Yes.
And to my surprise also, even though in the job they have gone abroad, in whatever their thing, their parents, their relatives are staying in whatever apartments they're owning.
Yes.
So Hyderabad gives that safety or comfort to the people who are staying or who have come from out of Hyderabad.
Yes. Yes. Samson.
Okay, Deepal, I'll take that question about comparison.
Sure.
And what are the things that we don't talk about openly?
Yes.
I suppose there's a lot of sentiment that drives the real estate of Hyderabad. There's a lot of gut feel, and we are evolving. So I would say, first of all, Hyderabad is an evolving market. We are maturing. The price growth is a sign. There will be a time when we will sort of stabilize, we will neutralize our demand, supply and price, the three indicators for our real estate economy. And we will be one of the mature cities where an institutional investor,
Yes.
an institution can look at Hyderabad and say, my returns are secured.
Yes.
The operators will comply. People will appreciate following the law in truth and in spirit. Service will be higher than just the product, and we will all climb up the value chain. So a few years ago, or maybe we are talking about the topic is the next decade. So I feel that what I expect in Hyderabad to happen is institutional capital coming in, supporting both. So far it has been commercial development, about majority since 2010 to now, we have had enormous investments from private equity capital. Now that can be in residential as well. But the market should be ready for these institutional investors, lenders, and so on. That is one sign. Second is when you are doing development, if landowner is, the word greed fits very well. The landowner doesn't look at the viability. He wants the highest price for his land. The developer wants his highest price for his product. The customer wants the lowest price. Not a good combination. If everybody is wanting to maximize their margins, then we are still not in that mature game where real estate runs at a certain margin, price points. So the customer also knows that, okay, it won't fall below this price. And if I hold it for a period of, I won't say 10, 15 years, I would say real estate, you can, 3-7 years could be a good time both for institutional investors as well as individual investors. You look at your holding and see whether there was a price appreciation, whether there was price depreciation, or was it as a case of returns. In many cases, ROI is also good measure of yard for Hyderabad's real estate. For your capital to your rental return, is it commensurate? And so Hyderabad doesn't become the most attractive city for that reason. And I think that's where we are heading. So in this next decade, I feel if developers don't say, I don't need money. For example, when you're trying to give equity, they'll say, we don't need, we are well funded. Debt, I want it at the lowest rate. Please match my national bank's rate. I think the day when the developers are also raise their credit worthiness, all kinds of capital flow in, we are going to mature this market from all stakeholders. The industry becomes more robust with everybody performing, everybody getting a chance, and not just those who want to maximize their value. Eventually the customer benefits because it becomes more predictable at what price point he can enter. enjoy it, whether for self-use or for investments, and know when to exit.
Yes, the predictability becomes much.
And I think Hyderabad has that opportunity. Like Mukul mentioned earlier, everybody wants a piece of real estate, but this story is 10 years old when all of us could afford a piece of land, a piece of a villa, a small villa, a small apartment. That aspiration has gone up. Now we want a larger villa, we want bigger land for ourselves, we want a apartment in the, the sky villa and so on. Income patterns have also increased. COVID has had a phenomenal income growth for a lot of IT professionals. So the price growth has had a logic. Affordability had increased and therefore it is paired off. But if the fundamentals of the stakeholders between the demand and supply, if they start playing the way most other industries work with a certain fixed margin, then I think we are in for a next decade where we become the most attractive location by virtue of one, supply. And I think not just built supply, but the land supply. Second, also the growth happened when we allowed all kinds of operators to come in. Biswajit will probably tell more about how retail we will see, and we are seeing now the top developers coming to Hyderabad to do the large format malls. Otherwise, Hyderabad has hardly handful to speak about successful malls. Large scale integrated residential developments, large scale SEZ developments are all success stories of developers who have come into Hyderabad. They are not competition, they are adding value to the city. So we see more of that, we see more of international investments coming in. We will see this city maturing into another level, and therefore we will probably see a new price points. Having said that, I feel one of the most attractive things about Hyderabad is actually affordability, which means office space, and I'll speak only for commercial at this moment, because real estate personally I speak is still very affordable compared to a Bangalore, a Chennai, a Pune or Mumbai. Office space, we have scale, we have talent availability and superior infrastructure. That gives us high rating when an IT company starts scoring where to come in India. If we keep those fundamentals straight and like a panelist mentioned, law and order, infrastructure, one of the only cities where infra is first and real estate has followed later.
And now,
if that continues, irrespective of which government, and credits to every government who has added more value to this city, I feel the next decade is one where the growth is across residential, commercial, warehousing, retail, and new emerging asset classes like data center, co-living, hospitality.
Thank you for that detailed answer. I have to ask the builders, Mukul and Ajitesh, does GO 111 worry you? And I mean, do you think it will change, the values of the lands you must have already bought for your future projects? And also, what our readers would love to know is, where do you think is going to be the highest and the most interesting development in the city in terms of land pockets?
So from a Geo 111 standpoint, I think short term it will definitely increase the land supply, so thereby posing some sort of threat to the prices. But it looks like the government is going to, bring it out like a very planned city. If it happens like that, then I see, there's a lot more value addition happening to the city. See, one thing we have to even realize is, once the land supply increases, the land prices come down, then the prices of overall real estate also comes down. Then again, we go back into, a more affordable segment, which will pull in more people. So as long as the Geo 111 lands are more planned development, I think it should add value to the city. And I also feel like government should make it like a very specialized city, like maybe something focusing on the, the clean technology or something like that, a specialized city, so which can agglomerate companies working in that space. So that would be in my perspective, I think it will be a good thing. And what is the other question? Sorry?
The other question was, readers like to know where to invest next. I mean, which areas you see highest growth, like where can they buy at affordable rates and where they will see prices increasing and things like that. We have a lot of saturated space in the city already, so.
See, the most promising space looks like the southwest of Hyderabad and extension of that. Though prices are high there, I feel there should be room to grow, because everybody today in the city, even though they are staying in Himayat Nagar or any internal part of the city, wants to have another house in the financial district. And there are two things, interesting things which are happening. One is the younger generation, other is the older generation. So the younger generation, even if they're in US or they're working here, they want to have one flat in the southwest of Hyderabad. And when they are staying in Southwest and their parents are staying inside the city, it's almost like traveling to Bangalore by flight, right? So even the parents are also moving out there. If you, like a common scenario, if you see, if you are traveling in Gachibowli on evening time, it takes an hour to travel 5 kilometers. But within the city, like maybe Himayat Nagar, those areas, you can cover 5 kilometers in 20 minutes. So you see, that's how the city is moving.
No,
So
I do
still,
see
I think it's the Southwest.
this pattern I see in a lot of families where they have a house in the CBD, but if they can afford a house in suburban areas, they are really looking out for it, and they see tremendous value. Maybe because there's more space or cleaner air or more green or whatever, you know.
Regarding the suburban space, Deepal, definitely we are seeing that craze coming down, what it was like maybe 2020 or 2021 because of the pandemic restrictions. Now that's coming down because see, the con with the suburban life is that you don't have many neighborhood services, right? Amenities. So that it increases your cost that way,
Yeah.
right? Whereas you're staying closer within the CBD, your cost of, though the cost of your living space is high, but your cost of other services come down, and even time cost comes down. So now we are seeing the reverse of that, at least from our perspective.
Okay, Mukul, would you
So
like
with,
to add to that?
sorry?
Yeah.
So with Geo 111 coming and going, I would say, so with, Geo 69 being introduced, in which the government had, come out with certain regulations and come out with certain land parcels that would be taken out, but that has been retracted by the government already. So I don't know when, actual implementation of the next Geo would happen. But I think if it's planned and if it's made in a sustainable way, the entire city, so HITEX city or Gachibowli could have been planned in a more sustainable way with the whole master plan being there, with the infra being there. This particular pocket, the Vattanaglapalli, the Neopolis, that particular belt has about 2,000 odd acres in that one pocket if the Geo 111 was to be taken out. That can be one mini city that can be planned for the future. Let it be the commercial development, it can be an integrated city where it can be one of the first planned mini cities inside a city. So I think that would be interesting if the government can take that up and, do something about it rather than just, giving, like an outright cover being a residential zone. It should be a more planned development.
So Ram, do you think it will help if we have a series of mini cities specialized in different areas? And I would like you also to kind of, because you both have so much experience and understanding on not only of the real estate market, but the governments, the policies, how they actually, pan out no matter how they start and how people respond. So please, Geo 111, how do you think? And also, do you see Hyderabad in the future as a series of small cities?
Yeah, Geo 111 is somebody's loss, somebody's gain also will be there. Because, we should think about the farmers there. Right next to their property, in the next survey, that's a property land, is a 15 crores, 20 crores, 30 crores. But the value of that property is...
Absolutely.
So how it will be for them when you look at from their perspective. But, we should also look at the nature also. We talk about global warming and all those things and so many things we talk about it. But when you look at that, what I feel, I observe in this, 111 Geo is not rightly put in place. Where some of the catchment areas, which is not even, they're in the downstream of the reservoir.
Yeah.
That cannot be in 111 Geo. So where the reservoir is there, the catchment area, properly that should be done. But some of the villages they have put it. So whether it is, they have not scientifically seen whether it is a catchment area or not. So those anomalies has to be taken out and proper study has to be done and proper, government has set up a committee for having a proper growth. Definitely it's going to add value to the city. And some of the, now this is big transition is happening, affordability to ultra luxury and so many things are happening. But there are some people who are really need homes.
Yeah.
Their salaries and all those things are not gone up. It's not able to match. So for such people, at least those people will be able to buy some properties with that. Lesser, definitely there is going to be lesser price because of the land prices are much lesser and huge land availability, thousands of acres of land is going to be available. Definitely it's going to add value. With that, some properties may have to reduce the properties because of the competition. I mean, people travel another 3-4 kilometers away, you are getting a better price. Means this, we may have to drop our price maybe little, but somebody's gain, somebody's loss. Ultimately, I mean, there should be balance has to happen. So government, how government is going to implement that, that is very important.
Yes.
So whether just they are going to, because already many structures have come in that also. I don't know how it's going to be. I mean, even triple one, there are a lot of, means proper, some colleges have come up, some proper buildings have built,
Yes.
then layouts have come, some villa developments have come, but I don't know how they are going to make it. So is that what they are talking about, thousands of acres, is it available also? That's not, I mean, not sure about it, but definitely it's going to have a mixed reactions. Thank you.
What do you think? Is there any way to do this right, the Geo Triple One?
See, first of all, if you look world over, no city has become a great one by growing incrementally.
Yeah, absolutely. Very
So
well
there
said.
have to be some
Major.
break-free periods, you know, where it has that quantum leap. If you look at Hyderabad, at least from that moment I am tracking and I have had knowledge, 2006 to 2009 has been one such period, 2017, 18 to 2022 has been one such period, and I'm sure we need to have these kind of periods or break-free periods more often, and that has to be facilitated by the government policy. Now, in the context of West Hyderabad, what you are talking, again, I'm making a bold statement. I keep telling Kokapet and that belt is going to become the Manhattan of Hyderabad.
Yes.
The very kinds of, the amount of development that is happening, the high rises that are coming, and you need those kind of developments to put a city on a world map. You cannot say that, you know, I'll have those sparse developments here and there in bits and pieces and still aspire to be a global city. No, I mean, with the kind of population we have, with the kind of economic limitations we have, you need those kind of attractions which will put you on a global city. Now, same thing I would apply to Geo Triple One also. Now, I don't want to go into the merits of whether it was right or wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm the right judge. But if at all the government is looking to develop that part, as our colleagues mentioned, that has to be something which stands out, which becomes a global attraction, which is something which pulls people from
Very intelligently planned.
intelligently planned, people from
executed.
all over the world want to be there.
Yeah.
So I would love to see that that area becoming more of a commercially driven property than a residentially driven property. Geo Triple One should become one such development where, I mean, there could be many theories and many ideas, but I would love it to become one such commercial, retail kind of with I mean, little or no residences where people from the different parts will drive in there and drive out. So I would love to see something like that. So that's how you become a global city, and it has to be a global attraction. That is what should be our benchmark. Yes, there could be nitty-gritties like what sir was mentioning, you know, some structure is already there, some building is there. I know government knows how to handle those, but I think we need to really create something which attracts the global eye.
Yeah, that actually puts a very positive and a very inspired spin on this whole very big policy to add, you know, tremendous land banks to Hyderabad city. You know, we have already crossed the time limit, but I cannot let any of you go witut one core question. So if I'm a middle class family and I have, you know, when I look at the prices, I'm starting to get scared because I have experienced just 5 years ago much low prices, and I may have not invested at that time. But at the same time, real estate in Hyderabad has been a very good investment also, you know, like vis-a-vis other possibilities. How would you advise them to think through and make the decision to buy their residential property wherever? Because this city, from what all of you have told me in the past 1 hour, seems like it will still keep increasing in valuations. There may be short dips, but long term it is. And so therefore, your advice over the long term, say over 20 years, if how should families think and not get too worried about the current price increase and make their decisions so they have, their property in the family. Because this is a small thing, but it matters. Even today, real estate to buy a house is very often somebody's entire lifetime savings. And sometimes it is the husband and wife pooling together to buy something over 20 years, giving EMIs. It's a big decision for a family, even today. While we have got used to that great speed at which Hyderabad has grown, and we talk like this over lakhs of acres being added, also we are having conversations. But for a small house also, for a 3-bedroom house decision, a family does its own research, its own survey in the city. So if you could, share your wisdom on how they should think through this, that would be of tremendous value to our readers. So.
Yeah, if I may start off, the first thing I would like to tell, when I said, I'm glad that the city is getting, the real estate in Hyderabad is getting expensive, I meant in the context that this is something which is not speculative and backed up by economic fundamentals. So what I intended to say here also was that our per capita income is going to grow, household incomes are going to grow, employment opportunities are going to increase. And you will see, and we are seeing this, we have seen this in the last 4 years, there is a general economic surplus around the Telangana state which is flowing into Hyderabad.
Yes.
So which means there is prosperity which we are seeing, and that is the result of prosperity is what we are seeing in the pushing up of these prices, while there has been a cost push as well. And what is also most important for us to notice here is that with the individual income levels are growing, the economic segments are pushing into the next level. You are seeing the lower middle class moving into the middle class into the upper middle class. So there is a thrust that is going on from the bottom of the pyramid, and people are moving up the scale of income. So what this means is that individual household incomes are going to grow, employment is going to grow, earnings are going to grow. So overall there is going to be general economic prosperity, and this is what is growth of a city, right? See, today Hyderabad has, I guess, pushed into the 4th largest GDP city in the country. I think after Mumbai, Delhi and Bangalore, we are almost, I think, very close to Bangalore is around maybe $110 billion or so. We are almost there.
Yeah.
So I'm sure very soon we might inch past Bangalore very soon. So what it means that our income levels are growing. So I would like to advise people that please be assured that while today the prices may be appearing a bit high, there could be a small correction here and there, but in the long term, this city is a good story. The prices are going to continue, and your investments, your monies are going to be
very secure
and well invested. The only thing I would advise, as we said, please be very, very discerning while identifying a home and the developer from whom you are going to buy. That's the big advice I would like to give.
Be careful about who you are investing with. Ram,
Yeah, always I keep telling, real estate is the safest investment. Anyone who is investing today, look after 5 years, 10 years, the price, nowhere you can get the same appreciation in any other investment. Assured. Maybe some dips, sometimes you may see Hyderabad also saw some dips and all. But today you look at the same place, what is the price?
Yeah.
So affordability is a challenge, definitely, because we should look at even as Nanda told, most of this what you call per capita income is growing and all, but there are some people who are not even getting the same thing, IT and all, big jobs are not getting, but there are some sector of the people who are not really getting same growth what others are getting. So government also has to take some initiative in promoting the affordable housing. That is this thing. So definitely there is some sort of problem is happening to the lowest income people. So there government has to encourage to build such thing. Government also has to come forward, not like, they have built so many things, but they are not in use, many things are happening. But instead of that, government has to come out certain schemes where they have to encourage the developers towards the small.
A city has to have decent housing for the lower.
But others, everyone
classes.
has to believe that Hyderabad is going to grow very big, definitely it's, I mean, there is no stoppage for that, whichever the government comes, whatever
Yes,
comes,
that
because
was the question I was going to ask you.
platform is set, well set, well set. Globe is looking at Hyderabad. Whole world is looking at Hyderabad. So definitely future is excellent, it's going to be excellent. Nobody should think twice to invest in Hyderabad. They can straight away, they can invest. Maybe, I mean, today people talk about interest rates have gone up, lots of things. Some global recession is going to make this thing and all. But in spite of everything, because land is limited, population is going to grow, real estate demand will be there always. So today is the best time I can say that they should use this platform. Whoever comes for this property show, they should utilize. They have a beautiful stalls, beautiful. I mean, excellently. So many good developers have put up their stalls. I think they should choose their right property and they should buy it.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. And I think that reassurance is required because families often have to sell, they sell gold. They have to make all kinds of complex decisions to be able to, pull in the money. And so I would have to ask my research friends, you want to say something?
I would like to add a point. I think from a buyer's perspective, they need to carefully analyze from the point of ease of living and cost of living, right? So certain times, yes, in certain locations the price might be high, but you need to, the allied services like transportation cost and your basic living cost will come down. So it's between these two, and the third thing is the buyer, again, he might even be scared whether the prices will go up or down. Well, one can be rest assured is the prices will not go down because the investments on the fundamental are very much intact in the sense of infrastructure, law and order, and the city is moving towards investing in the next set of assets, a lot of social infra and a lot of such assets. So as long as the investments, the fiscal investments on such assets are there, the prices will go up, and and depending on their affordability, they need to see between ease of living and cost of living, because sometimes you staying within the CBD saves you a lot of cost, which you can repurpose it for other better things.
Yeah. So I'd like to ask Biswajit and Samson. So this government has done a lot to help the real estate. I mean, since it's come in, when it came in, we were after the bifurcation, the city was a little disheveled, and then they brought in a lot of different policies to stabilize it, improve it, and pitch it as a good city across the world. So you cannot say that the governments and the politics of the city don't matter, but a lot of people feel that Hyderabad has gone so strong that it is beyond the government. So from your research perspective, have you seen cities which change because, of their leadership, or do you think that Hyderabad has become like New York and Washington and it will just hold itself no matter what happens?
I feel that because our government is very receptive, the real estate and the developer fraternity and government should work together. I see that next decade would be a new concept like microcosm. What is microcosm means? The government should develop different pockets, neighboring facilities like workplace, hospital, retail, residential. See here what happens is presently the major drawback is the commuting. I personally feel that this CBD concept will slowly die, or it will not make sense because it's a linear, the traffic is linear. Every day somebody moves from one direction to another direction, in the evening they come back. I personally feel that when we open new land parcels with government, the developer community should have a microcosm development, which means the neighbor, they should, for example, I can give an example of what Genome City. Government should plan such a way that it should give lot of land parcels to the developers to develop residential, commercial. So in that way, what will happen is the employees will go to the workplace by walking. I mean,
you're talking about the walk to work concept and things. So, thank you. Yeah, no, that is, I think, very much on the mind of the present government also, and they
So,
are trying to build
Then
these
we'll
kind
become
of
a role model to the
sectors.
other
Yes,
cities also.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that. Samson, quickly if you could.
Yes.
And then,
This is a sector which has no entry barriers. So it has the potential to be independent and agnostic to the government of the day. But when government plays such a proactive role as
like this present government.
like the present government, then there's a high dependency.
Got it.
And they can call the shots. But if you notice cities like Mumbai, Bangalore, despite a crumbling infrastructure of sorts, they have multiple micro markets within themselves. So that is one boon of a failed infra also. And the bane of a good infra is that price drops, every few kilometers away in Hyderabad. That should get corrected once. That should get probably corrected once, each market, west, east, north, south of Hyderabad has its own social infra and a walk to work and living within itself, there is
Yes.
office and so on. So I feel that overall, right now there is a balance of government role versus private sector, but in the next decade, if real estate is going to turn agnostic to political movements, then it would have really matured.
Yes.
It would have its own forces of demand, supply and price, where stakeholders, and because it doesn't have a entry barrier where you have to buy, there's a lot of private land available. So private players can actually determine how this market can go over the next decade.
Yes, Mukul and Ajitesh, your last words, please, and then we'll wrap the panel.
So I'll just give my two bit on your previous question in which you're talking about, what the customer should do. I think the customer should buy. Today, you've got a choice right from projects that are starting right now to ready to move in projects. So there is an entire array that's available for the customer. So the customer just has to make up its mind, not thinking how speculative gain that they would get, say a 2 to 3 year or a 5 year time frame. That will happen compounded. That might not be exponential, but that will happen. So they should just choose the right location, choose the right developer and buy.
Excellent.
Can you
Thank
repeat the question, Deepal? Sorry.
No, I just said your last words because you are absolutely the last person, and we'll wrap the panel after you speak. Yeah.
So I think Hyderabad is on a very strong footing. But having said that, the needs of the citizens are also changing, and a lot needs to be seen on which way the public investments, government investments will move, and as long as they invest in the next set of things,
Yeah.
right, the people will start, more and more people will come in. See, I think real estate also, like, it thrives on the bandwagon effect. So wherever more prices are rising, that's where more people come and
Yeah.
stay. And that's where the demand also grows.
Keeps growing.
So currently we are seeing a positive bandwagon effect, and I hope it continues into the future.
Yeah. So thank you. This has been an extremely insightful panel. And like I said, our readers really look forward to your advice so that they can, decide where to invest their hard-earned money. And all of you come with a lot of experience in different spaces. So tremendous insight, national to local builders, long-term research, organizations, and also the young and new, people telling us what they're going to do next to make a magical city happen. Thank you so much, all of you. And it means a lot that you take out your precious time and, spend time here with us. And we will continue to make a lot of difference to this industry. As you know, we have always been very detailed in our reports in real estate, for the reader, and it is definitely one of the factors that makes real estate tick. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our moderator, Ms. Deepal Gala here, and our panelists. And now I would request Ms. Deepal to kindly please felicitate all our panelists. Yes, starting with Mr. Ram Reddy, Vice President, CREDAI, and Chairman, Managing Director, our group.